Live.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Digitize HQ. So myself, Thomas Ross, the partner and CRO of Funnel Amplified, along with Brandon Lee, the founding partner, CEO, and all other things in Funnel Amplified. We are happy to have as a guest with us today Doug Coombs of Association and Worker Bee TV. And today's topic is about video, which makes sense, Doug, given what you guys do, and we want to talk about why it's important, not just in the future, but also today. I mean, if you don't have video in your artillery with respect to marketing and sales today, you're already in trouble. You're already behind the eight ball. So let's begin there. Doug, did you want to give us a little bit of an intro about you and Worker Bee and Association TV?
Sure, yeah. So, well, first of all, thanks, Brandon and Thomas, for having me today, and really excited to be a part of this new program you guys are doing. And I think we're on the third live stream, so I'm happy to be in the top three. But so I'm Doug Coombs. I'm the Director of Client Solutions with Worker Bee TV's our company name. We've also got trademark services called Association TV. And what we do is video production and web development. We like to say that our clients are like the Netflix for their members or their clients. And I say that in the sense of they can produce and distribute exclusive content, video content, audio content, articles, all on their website. And just like those over-the-top programming things like Amazon Prime, Netflix, Crave, use the behavior data to help improve the content and the user experience on their website and their brand. And social media is a huge part of that. Like, how do you use social media to start conversations? So you want to use short snippets of video to bring people to your branded website. And once they're there, you start looking down on how they're engaging with that data so you can improve upon it. So really long-winded way to say we're a video production and web development company. Everything we do is in our clients' brands, and we work with clients around the world. So thanks for having me today, guys.
Got it. Thank you for that, Doug.
Yeah.
So let's just kick this off. How the question of the day is how is video going to change business communications in the future? I think we wrote it as why the future and present of your business communications is video. Thomas, why don't you kick us off? What do you think the number one value proposition of video is for business communication going into 2022?
Well, I think the number one value proposition is it's everywhere. And it doesn't matter what device, and of course, everybody lives on one version or another of one of these. They can quickly get information, insight in real time. And most people prefer video. And when it's personalized and when it's used in a way that's impactful as opposed to corporate or as opposed to just people fooling around, but when it's actually personalized and used in an effective way, it's the most powerful tool that we have today by far.
Yeah, why is that, do you think? Why do you think it's so powerful?
People are visual for the most part. So we want to see visual, and people like to talk to and listen to people, oddly enough. And video gives us that opportunity, as does this very event that we're doing now. People enjoy that, and so it's an impactful way to do it.
Yeah, Doug, what about you? What do you think? What's that number one, number two value of video for business communications moving forward?
That's a loaded question, but just to kind of go on to Thomas's, I think there's a lot of meat on that, but the personalization's two things. Brandon, you'd sent me some information the other day, and there was a video embedded on it. My mouse is on the computer, went straight to that and hit play. It was a 2-minute and 57-second video. I watched it, I listened to it, and I said, okay, Brandon knows what he's talking about. I'm now going to commit the time to read what's on this page. So the video was kind of like the gatekeeper. Is this video good enough for me to read it? So it's the new secretary. If you're doing cold calls in traditional businesses, that secretary is the gatekeeper. Now it's reversed. You're controlling what people do with video. So personalize in that way, Brandon. You personalize that video to me, so I knew what to do next. You helped me guide. You explained what I would learn. I said, yes, I want to learn more about what Brandon just did. So that's a nice example of a personalized video. The second example of that is personalized based off behaviors that I've done on your site. And that might be pre-produced video, more specific on a product or service on Funnel Amplified. And that's pre-produced one-to-many. So it's not user-generated. It could be an explainer video that's animated. It could be pre-produced where you're showing an example of your product or service or a feature within there. But it's personalized in the sense of I've been on this web page, I've requested more information, and now it's an appropriate time to send me that. Personalized in the sense of behavior data. So sorry, I'm long-winded, so feel free to interrupt me, guys.
No, you're allowed. Hey, it's good. You're the video expert on today's panel, so you talk as much as you want. You know, I think one of the ways that I would answer the question about being most important, I think it's because most of us are just naturally lazy. And it's easier for buyers or recipients or anybody to watch a video than to read an article. I mean, I think there's also the richness of the medium of video. Like, so you can see people, you can hear their tone, their inflections, and you know obviously hear them. I think it's just such a richer medium. And on top of that, we're lazy. We're just, you know, how often you guys hear, oh, I'm so busy. I got so much to do. And quite honestly, I get tired of the, I'm so busy conversation, because busy doesn't say anything. And this is, you know, the coach in me coming out. I'd rather be productive than busy. And sometimes going slow is more productive than just being busy. But I think video is so important because we're all just naturally lazy. What do you guys think?
I mean, agree.
Come on.
I don't know if I agree with that or not.
No, and if a picture says 1,000 words, how many words does a video say?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And it's all about the story and how do people consume content right now. Right. Like if you pay attention to Netflix and Crave and see how they grow rapidly, it's video. And this is, you know, suggested content based off behaviors. But and people are lazy too. Sometimes you can respond with, you know, long-winded email or create a PDF document or you know, use proposal softwares out there, or you can look at your camera and have a conversation with someone and do bullet points or something, you know, and then direct traffic that way. So the user-generated content, although we are a video production company, there's still value there, right? So I love it. I think we're all lazy in our own sense.
Well, you know, I love what you've said all the way through. I mean, especially as you defined how you reacted to that video message from Brandon, because you nailed it. What we do when we do that is we immediately gain the opportunity to be the trusted advisor, right?
Yeah, I think that's huge, Thomas.
Yeah, and that gives you the credibility. And now, as you said in your example, you're listening. And you're going to go in and do a little bit more with it than you might have otherwise.
And people do business with people. Brandon's a genuine guy. Anyone who knows him, you know, we've only recently met. I've known Thomas for a long time, and you just see that he's passionate about what he does. And that came through in video. And his rating skills might not match his video skills. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that, Brandon, but it was a well-written article, by the way. So I'm just saying. But at the same time, though, it comes through and you start that. It's all relationship based, and that's what that happens in video. It's easier to start a relationship through it, and you actually mentioned that in your video too, Brandon. I couldn't agree with that more. And it's you know, Thomas, like we talked yesterday, it's a maturity thing as well. So I'd love to hear more of your ideas on that. But sorry, Brandon, I cut you off there.
No, you're fine. I totally forgot what I was going to say to that.
The genuine relationship starting. I don't know.
Well, yeah. So yesterday I was on a call with a couple of our customers, and we were talking about video, and they were coming to this conclusion, and I don't know if I agree with it or disagree with that. I'd love to hear what everyone else thinks. He said, like, Instagram video, like Reels, they said are still much more produced and polished. And one of my customers, she was saying she felt more pressure to have like perfect videos on Instagram and Facebook stories. But she said on TikTok, she felt total freedom to just pull out her camera, do something, say something, and post it away without worrying about her makeup, worrying about was it polished, was it perfect. If she on Instagram is saying something and kind of flubs, she'd stop and start over. But on TikTok, she would just, keep going, correct herself, and keep on going. It made me think, are we creating a culture where there's just different styles, use cases for video?
Thomas, do you want to take that, or do you want me to?
Why don't you? You guys are the video experts.
Yeah, I think for user-generated social media content, there's a lot of really great use cases for that. Behind the scenes, live stories, one-to-one, Brandon, like you had done for me. And I think that's great. I think that there's also a use case for professionally developed content as well. And that's more of your one-to-many, where you're personalizing it based off behaviors, needs, where they're at in the buying cycle as well. Because for what we do, we can remotely film. So there's user-generated content, which has its value, one-to-one, and then the professionally produced, but that doesn't have to be difficult. So some common barriers that we hear all the time for professionally produced video is complexity. You've got to script it, you've got to book the videographer, you've got to go into post-production, and geography also. It's a global world. This digital world that we live in is global. Thomas, and none of us live in the same states, and I'm in a different country than both of you, right? But we feel connected, we talk often, right? Videos make that easy. So we take the complexity out of video, and the way we do that's with a product it's a service and a job title called Virtual Videographer, and we just simply log into someone's iPhone or iPad, and we can record them in 4K. And you don't see the click of the mouse at the end. You can do it personalized, whatever. You can record 5 videos at once, and then our team will edit that, and we'll put bookends on it, and then we'll put a button at the end. So for a video that you send somebody, click here to learn more. Click here to contact Doug. Whatever you want to do with that. So every video should have a goal. It should have a purpose and have something that you measure towards to define if it was successful or not. If no one watched the first movie, is there going to be a sequel? Right?
Yeah, that's good. So, and Doug, I like what you said about there's 2 types or 2 use cases around video, right? The produced, the cleaned up, the call to action on it. That's really one-to-many, I think. I agree with you. But then there's room to have more organic one-to-one or one to a small group video where it can be, because I think the power of digital is recreating what we would normally do in a face-to-face. And that's not produced. It's not as organic or authentic or genuine if I record a video 20 times, get it perfectly edited and do a bunch of stuff, and then put it in a little personal microsite that I send to you. I feel like it just loses value in that environment. So I agree with what you said about that. I think that's a great way of looking at video from a company perspective.
Oh yeah, and if there's ums and ahs, that's personality. If you trip on your words, who cares? Especially when it's one-to-one, that's just who you are, and you're human, right? That's what it really comes down to, is that human connection. And since it's through digital, it doesn't take away that you're human. It doesn't have to be perfect or polished. So I completely agree with what you said there, Brandon. And and practice it as well.
But when it comes to the bigger picture, if I can go there, with respect to brands and organizations and associations and all these kinds of things, where they are trying to put together, FAQ information or industry information or specs and all these kinds of things that we're so traditionally used to as being a document or an email chain or whatever it is. Video can supplant much or all of that in a way that people will consume and use in such a more effective way. I was on a site yesterday, and rather than taking me to a link that I had to read 14 pages to get the point that I was looking for, it took me to a video. And the video was broken down point by point, and it had the points there. And I could go to the point, watch the video, and in about 45 seconds, I had the answer. Not only that, but I could play it back because they were showing the screen of how to do something, and I was able to follow. It was magic, and I absolutely loved it. So there's a place and a powerful way to use both. My concern, if I can put it that way, is that far too many organizations have not figured any of that out yet. Right? So it's kind of our job, and Doug, maybe we work together in that context, but it's our job to show them the power of this.
Yeah.
And I would ask the question of both of you, why do you think companies are still missing this?
Well, Doug, you want to respond?
Yeah, I've got a million different directions to go on this, but I think the complexities, I think, are a barrier, right? They think it's too complex, time and resources needed, and then geography might be an issue, which, plug for virtual videographer again, but that removes those three things. And I also feel that companies look at it a lot like a project, where it's a program. It's a living, breathing organism that you're continually improving. So if you're looking at it like a single project that's going to solve all your problems, you might be setting yourself up for failure. Sorry. A successful program is something that I can go into a use case on this where a client had produced an industry report, super expensive, super meaty, and super valuable for their industry, but no one read it because it's tons of words. They don't know where to go to find what's relevant to them. And that was a problem. So we dissected it, we got to know it, and we broke it down into micro learning chapters. And it would just be about, let's just say it would be about, I'll just toss a topic out, the robotics section. So there'll be a short video, high level bullet point of what you're going to learn when you read the robotics section of this report. So the goal wasn't financial. The goal was to get their expertise out to the world and create lead gen. And that's what happened. It was the most viewed they've ever had, so they used video to direct traffic to people to read their report. And then it was breadcrumbs to lead gen. It was breadcrumbs to value. It was breadcrumbs to that. So that's your one-to-many video that we would talk about. So, and it was a program. It wasn't one video explaining the whole report. Right. It was a whole bunch of short videos explaining specific parts of the report that's applicable to those members so they could segment the audience in their CRM and send it based off industry specific messaging that they wanted to send. So program, not project, and don't overcomplicate it. Like Brandon had just said, you can do it simply as well, even for the one-to-many.
Yeah. I think that video is also a challenge. Is at least that one-to-one organic video is a challenge for companies because of fear. Like it's, we unleash our team to start creating a bunch of one-to-one videos. How do we ensure, and it depends on where the company's thinking, right? Well, we've got to ensure brand. Okay, well, in the big picture of things, we got to ask ourselves, is brand perfection really the thing that we lead with when it comes to a salesperson, as an example, or a customer success person communicating and connecting with a customer? Is it, and again, I'm just asking questions, but I think these are some of the conversation points that companies have to have. Do we want to unleash thousands of people to create video in a one-to-one environment, knowing that mistakes may happen? What do you think about that, Thomas?
Yeah, and I think that's a real question that we hear already, and it's something that takes training, right? And it's not something that you just unleash and kind of hope for the best. I actually had a client some years back who had an experience with one of their folks on Facebook who decided that their fun at the bar should be put up on Facebook on the corporate page. So you do.
What'd you say? The what?
they shot a video at the bar, and they put it up on the corporate Facebook page because they had been given the right at that time by my then client to post up on the Facebook page, which was not, necessarily the greatest idea without training and without people realizing what it was about and how to use that in a great way. So and that's what this comes down to, right? It doesn't come down to making TikTok videos for your clients and for your business relationships. What it comes down to is training people on how to use these things in an effective way and letting them do that. I mean, you don't want to do so much of it that now you lose that personal touch because they're so mindful and trying to put themselves in this perfect box, which of course doesn't exist anyway. You still want people to be human, but you want them to be able to convey themselves in a great way, if that's helpful.
Yeah. You know where I struggle with thinking about some things like that is a company may sponsor and host a cocktail event during a conference, and then somebody will get in trouble, as an example, and that's kind of what I'm inferring from it, from taking a video at said cocktail party and posting it in social media.
So are you asking a question with reference to that?
I think I'm just throwing it out there because, I mean, I get the challenges, and I'm not saying, hey, carte blanche, let's just let everybody go, because we do know that employees sometimes do stupid stuff at cocktail parties, and then we got to clean it up and deal with it, or whatever the fallout may be.
Hey, CEOs sometimes do stupid stuff at cocktail parties.
Were you talking about me personally? Is that what you're referring to?
I was not.
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I hear that. I just think that there's something about video that makes people really, really scared, because the thought is it'll go viral, it'll be there forever, and all that type of stuff. So I think that's just speaks to what you said. Training, systems in place to make sure that, it's done properly.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's no difference than what people write in their content and their articles and put up elsewhere, right? If they say something or if they're speaking to somebody about something on mic or whatever else, those things all happen on a regular basis. And when we train people and we show people this is how we want to do this as an organization, but as a team, right, and all have fun with it, then you can balance all of that off. But stuff is still going to happen, and it's going to make you look human, right? And I think looking human is a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah. Hey, Doug, what about you with your company? Because you are so focused on high quality production video, how do you all use more organic video with your team? Or I would imagine in some ways, because this is your business, that you stay so focused here that maybe you haven't thought so much about organic video.
Organic video is certainly part of what we do. And in the comms process of through the policies and processes through that sales funnel, where this message at this point is good, and it's not down to the point of policies and procedures yet, because we don't have a super large sales team. But it's more buying cycle of like, where are they at in here? What video is appropriate? And how can we help them learn more about this without coming across as someone trying to sell to them? We always want to be helping them. And video, just like what you sent me, Brandon, you had some ums and ahs in there. Perfect. Who cares? And it helped me understand like who you were as a dude, but also how you add value to the company as well. So I think with those overarching principles in place, you're safe. You can never control people if they've had too much Camus and then they get out their phone and start live streaming or something. But with policies and procedures in place within your sales process, I mean, or whatever it is, account management, that transition from sales to account management, video is a great way to do that. Not everyone has time for a meeting for introductions. Use video. Script it to a point of what you need to. But what we're doing right now is we're creating digital business cards. So everyone has an introduction through video. So as you're meeting clients, you can send them your digital business card, which is a little bit about what you do, at work, but also who you are as a person, so that people don't just look at you as a job title, they look at you as a human being that they're going to have a relationship with that's on your team now, not just a supplier vendor relationship.
Yeah, I think that, and not, for people listening, we're not trying to plug Doug, push Doug's company, but Doug, I think that's such a cool use case of video. I think that, as we said, I believe, video is that richer medium, and the opportunity for a virtual video based business card, which I think it's probably used a lot more and different than just being like, a business card in a video format, right? A video based business card is used much more digitally. I think that's a great example of the future of video in our business communications.
Yeah, totally. And that's just an internal project. That's not like a something we're doing for a client. We're doing that for ourselves because we have products and services that, just like any company we sell, but it's the experience of working with us that creates the evangelists and takes away the client vendor relationship and goes into a partnership. And good morning to whomever just said that.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That's Desiree. She was a big, chatted a lot with us last week. I think last week, 2 weeks ago. Anyways, Good morning, Desiree. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's all about, and then you get more efficient that way. You're not creating something custom every time because the person and what you do doesn't change every day. And you can always put something custom in that, but it makes it a bit more streamlined from a process standpoint too.
And something else has changed, and with COVID, this created an opportunity, right? We've all gotten used to Zoom or Teams or whatever it is we're using for video. I mean, even LinkedIn now has a live LinkedIn link right in the messaging box that you can open up a video discussion. So we've all gotten more and more used to that, and I think the decorum and the way you act and behave has now sort of become a managed understanding. And I think people have just gotten used to it. So I'm actually surprised that more companies aren't yet really incorporating that into their business process outside of just a Zoom meeting, right? So I think that this is just I think we're at the precipice, to be honest, of video being on everything pretty much all the time.
Yeah. I think when I think of video, maybe I'm a little out there, but I think it was Back to the Future 2, which came out, I don't know, 20 years ago or whatever it was. I remember a scene where Marty's in the future and he's in his house or whatever, and he walks in and there's video screens everywhere and they're people. And so as he's doing stuff, he turns around and goes, "Hey, Mom," and he starts talking to her. And then his sister's on a different screen, but they're all basically on a wall. And I remember looking at that going, wow, that was definitely, I remember even thinking then, like, that's where we're going in the future. Go figure, the name of the movie. But I think that inside of business, we're getting there as well with, virtual offices that people can virtually knock on your door and walk in, and all of a sudden you're video face to face as well.
I agree. And, I've got family in Australia and we connect through video, right? And it's still a big gap, obviously, but not being able to travel there and them not being able to come here, that's what keeps us connected. FaceTime, Zoom, you name it. So it's totally cool.
So where do we think that the tools like Zoom and Teams are going? Because Thomas, I agree with you. I think that, obviously to have bought a whole bunch of Zoom stock in January of 2020 would have been really wise. But the amount of companies that are using Zoom or Teams or equivalent, and we won't even talk about how Skype kind of missed the whole boat there. But I think number one, pre-2020, if somebody was using Zoom at home, there was most of the time there was a digital backdrop, and they tended to pretend like they weren't at home because it wasn't kind of accepted to be working from home as much. And then with COVID and everybody working from home, I saw fewer backdrops. It was like, I'm at home, I'm at home. I'm not even gonna try and pretend I'm not at home. This is life. This is real life. And oh yeah, the dog barked, the baby did whatever. And it just became much more accepted that, with that type of video, that it was just more natural and human. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Doug.
No, we're based in Canada. Most of our clients are in the States. So I can just agree with what you'd said there, Brandon, in the sense of the change in how people used it and the comfort level of just like, this is who I am. Not mentioning names, but I had a client who was really excited about our products pop open a Budweiser because they were excited to kick off the relationship. And that was just, you would never see that pre-2020. And, I thought it was cool, but, backwards hat, popped open a Bud and just said, can't wait to start this off. And I was just, I don't drink Budweiser up here. I'm up in Canada, so I drink the real beer, but.
I was going to say, I don't judge the backwards hat or the t-shirt or opening up a beer, but I think I might get a little judgy on the Budweiser. It's the beer choice, but
Anyway, so I had to put that in there, but it was human though. And now I know when I see that client, we can have a pop together. It's it's just how you connect, and a huge change. And I think there's still a demographic that feel that you need to be in the office to connect, but I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be. There's a big shift and change right now in the workforce, and I think there's this whole thing called the Great Resignation. I don't know if you heard of it, but
I got an article. I'm working on it right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So employees are empowered right now, and there's a big, okay, I'm out. I'm going to go work somewhere else. So there is a huge shift right now, and it's kind of wild to see unfold before our eyes. I mean, there's a change every year right now.
Yeah. And video is a huge part of that, because frankly, without it, they couldn't do that.
Right.
No.
Right.
Totally.
Totally. And that's the bottom line with respect to that. So it's just going to become more and more. But how would you, Doug, and I ask you this, what would you recommend an organization do with respect to evaluating their use or non-use, as it may be, with video, and how should they move forward with what they're going to do and how they might use it in the future?
I think that comes down to define the goals, and will video help you reach your goals? And some people, it's great, recruiting new staff, right? That's a big thing right now. Some people, it's get more clients. Some people, it's educate their membership. We work with a lot of associations that use video to educate, right? So define your goals. Can you clearly define the KPIs, or what are you measuring to that goal? Is it someone registering? Is it lead gen? And then do it. Don't overcomplicate it. Do it. Create a program, commit to it, but continually measure and continually improve upon it. So start by defining the goals and ask yourself, can video help us do this? Because we always ask why. Even our longest tenured clients, it's just, okay, that's an awesome idea for a video, but we have to do it. We have to ask why you want to do this video and what we're measuring against, so we know if it's impactful enough. So that's the big part, Thomas. So start with the goals and how you measure them.
No, I like that. Go ahead, Brandon.
No, I was just saying, I mean, I think everything kind of always goes for me to think with the end in mind. I like to quote Covey, but you got to know where you're going and then work backwards with, what's the right channel? What's the right medium to do this? And video may not be in some cases, but I think as we're moving into the rest of the 2020s here, the roaring 20s, I think, is going to be more and more use cases of video. And I think that companies have got to figure out, if they do strategic planning and looking at what are these goals? Well, we need customer success to have better bonds, be more connected with our customers, make more connections inside of the account, because of the Great Resignation and so many people are moving so much, you may have a great relationship with somebody, but 60 days before renewal, they leave and all of a sudden you got a new person in place and you've got short period of time. So I think companies need to be thinking about these types of challenges that they're experiencing and then look at how do we do this? And in my opinion, there's only so much you can do with emails and phone calls around developing more relationships inside a customer account. Because you can only call them so many times in a week or in a month. But when you're doing things with digital, you're doing things with social, you do things with video, and it is a richer environment. I think there's so many opportunities for companies to achieve those goals through some of these digital channels and primarily video in a lot of cases.
I would totally agree with that, and I think it's amazing to me, and no day goes by where I'm not surprised on either side of the ledger. Yesterday, I was trying to reach out to a tech company, and I say tech because they are a technology company. I won't get into specifics, but I will tell you that I haven't been able to reach the person that I wanted to reach for the last couple of weeks. So I tried them on their various profiles. And I tried them on their various channels with respect to Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, etc. Nothing. And this is a tech company. And finally, I had already sent an email, hadn't heard from that yet either, but I did finally get an email back from somebody saying, "Hey, we see you're trying to reach so and so. We'd like to help you. Here's another email address you can try." And this is a tech company. So never mind they didn't have video. They weren't connecting the dots and just regular human communication, right? And that's what blows my mind, right? So, I'm sorry, but most people today, especially the younger generations, they don't even know that this thing dials. Right? So the idea that they're waiting around for a phone call, I think they'd wonder what the heck was going on if they got one. Right?
Yeah.
So the point being is that, and you said it so well, Brandon, you have to go where your customers and your clients are. Mm-hmm. And you can't get there if you don't know the answer to that question.
Right. Yeah, I think, Doug, and you guys probably have a lot more experience in this and asking those questions, like you said earlier. Okay, great. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Right, why? If we keep looking at the whys, I do think the rest of the 20, I think, Doug, you said something along this lines, or maybe you said it very directly, but I think in 100 years from now, history books from, business is going to look at the 20s, and it's going to be another version of the Roaring 20s, but from maybe a different perspective. Because we're not out partying like they were in the 1920s, but it is a significant shift. And I think from a business communication standpoint, it's going to start with how do we connect with our customers and prospective customers. And then it's going to work its way from there. But everything about connecting, influencing, creating conversations, all of that is going to dramatically change. It has already changed, Zoom and Teams, but it's not going to end there. And Thomas, to speak to what you said, our 4 older kids, if they call me, it's FaceTime.
Yeah, sure.
They don't dial that phone.
No.
They tap the screen and I get the FaceTime ring.
Yeah.
But never just a straight audio phone call.
Yeah.
That's funny you say that, Brandon, because my 1-year-old, when she sees a phone and she'll go hello, and she doesn't go hello like this. She goes hello like this.
Yeah.
Because the FaceTime. Like me and my buddies, we FaceTime. Like it's
right.
What we do. And my family, my wife and her family, it's always hello. So that's how she does it.
Well,
so
and I saw the meme, I think it was a while ago, but it was a millennial kid or whatever. I don't know. But they said, what does this mean? Right? I saw that all the time growing up. My parents looking at me going, hang up the phone. You've been on too long. We didn't have call waiting. We didn't have, like, hang up the damn phone. I knew exactly what that meant. I guarantee if I did this, I don't think my kids would really know what it meant.
No, you're
So
doing hang loose wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Broken hang loose. So as Desiree say here, my kids are the same way. They will even do it when we are in separate parts of the house. Yeah. And I think so. What I think we take from that is kids, people, not even kids, people are doing this in their personal lives. How is that then? It's got to translate into business life. Like, we don't just check our habits at the door when we sit down at our home office and all of a sudden behave differently.
But we do. That's the problem. That is the challenge, because in fact, that's exactly what still happens at the boardroom, at the C-level, and with many leaders that we all know, right?
Yeah.
In fact, they forget that the way they want to deal with the car dealership or the dry cleaner or any other business they deal with is in real time, and they want that answer now, and they're not waiting for an email. The way they expect, they don't translate that to their own customers, right?
Yeah.
And giving your customer information back by way of a video or whatever else that online process in real time is, that's the magic. That's where people are. And yet there is that disconnect, right?
Yeah.
That is not yet happening. And that's where video can play an enormous role in helping to bridge a gap. And it's not, and people say, well, we're afraid of technology. Well, you're on Zoom every day. How many times?
Yeah.
Right.
So you're already doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But instead of just talking to your team, which you're doing such a great job of, why don't we talk to our customers? I wonder if they would like that.
Right.
And one step further, when you start with a quality video, you've got quality audio, give your clients the option to listen.
Yeah.
It's very easy. And then from there, there's tools out there. You can transcribe that. You take that transcription, you've got a blog, and then you give people the option to consume content the way they want to. And it's that simple. And we like to say you start with one single video and you can create 21 pieces of content from it. So
right.
At least I think it's even more now. And just give them the options and then let the data tell you who's consuming what. Because it's crazy how much you can learn from what your audience does with the data or the assets that you put out there.
No. Well, go ahead, Brendan. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I keep interrupting you.
I was just going to ask, and you guys probably both know the answer to this, and I'm really interested in where it stands now. What is the number one form of content as it relates to consumers, both B2B and B2C?
Number one in the sense of
that they'll gravitate to. So given the options, right, what content in B2B or B2C to most customers and consumers gravitate towards? I'm just curious.
I'm biased, but the reports I've read are video.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Or click-throughs and all that. But what else do we include? Yeah. Sorry, Brandon, but do you include social in there? Right. I'm not sure.
Oh, 100%.
Comparing against. Yeah. So sorry, Brandon, I'll let you go though.
No, go ahead. I'm actually doing a little Google search right now because I think what I've read and what I then think about is, well, it depends.
Yeah.
Right. It depends on where the content is, obviously who your client is. I think there's a big it depends with that, and I'm just kind of curious what else is out there content wise. And the irony is, I'm going to go read a blog that tells me which type of content is the best.
Because you can't watch a video on this call.
Yeah, but videos did pull up in my search results.
And it depends in the sense of, like, from what we've seen, using clients as examples, is email newsletters with the GIF with the play button have a higher click-through rate.
Oh,
and but then even that depends on which newsletter, which segment of their audience and all of that. But it's pretty staggering to see the click-through, the conversions, the lead gen just from a GIF in a video. And recently we're helping a client sell something for sponsorship, and we had, you know, a PowerPoint, a full-length webinar, a whole bunch of things, 40-minute video. What moved the needle the most? A 1-minute video that was just emailed out with the GIF. Click through, learn more, boom. So in my experience of doing 10 plus years of outbound sales B2B, and then with my recent marketing experience as well in the last 5 to 6 years, it's changed. It's like 85% of the buyer's journey is almost in marketing and consumption of content. They're going to know a lot about what we do, or hopefully they know a lot about what we do before they even want to talk to me, right? They want to know a lot, consume content. So people that walk into car dealerships now have probably done like 87% of their research through videos, through websites, through building the car on that website. And they'll come in and they'll say, what color of leather can we get? Is it real leather? Because that's important.
Yeah. Well, and that's assuming they actually walk into the car dealership.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
A friend ordered a Bronco sight unseen.
Yeah.
Well, and that leads.
That way. Yeah.
Yeah, and that leads to, so first of all, Desiree, I see your comment on here. I'm going to bring that up here in a second because I think that's a great conversation. But, you know, we were on the phone, we were on a call the other day with some folks from Konica Minolta. And I thought what they were sharing with us, and hopefully I don't think I'm overstepping anything, but when COVID hit, they moved very quickly into creating virtual demos of large print equipment. And from what I understood, it was, you know, big cameras and screens on carts with wheels. They were moving along so they could show different aspects of this print press. And it was a two-way, like a Zoom communication going on. And then they had a camera they could go and drill into certain areas. You want a close-up of that? They would bring it in, and they were doing those virtual demos. I think the comment was more than one person purchased $1 million plus piece of equipment sight unseen, which I don't think that's the right word to say. They did see it.
Right.
It was, you know, touched, untouched. How's that for a new expression? Touched, untouched. They didn't smell it. They didn't touch it. They didn't hear it necessarily, but they bought the piece of equipment from a virtual demo. I think that's where we're going.
Virtual tire kicking. I went on a car website the other day, and it's like, it said which reps were online, right? Social. You can go in there and you can chat with them, whatever. It's fingertips.
Yeah.
The whole world.
But a couple of years ago, we wouldn't have been saying this, even though it was happening.
Right.
Yeah. So take a look at this. I think this fascinates me about having a open office hours with video. And it fascinates me for two reasons. And one, this isn't a pitch for Funnel Amplified other than where my brain went and why we created it. You know, with our personal content hubs or our private microsites that are like a virtual meeting. I think, Doug, it's the video you're referring to that I sent to you. And I got to look and see if they're still around. This was probably 8 years ago. There was a company, a startup out of San Francisco. I think it was called Gel Networks, JELL, and they might still be around. I don't know. But their whole premise was creating these virtual rooms, like virtual offices, that whenever you're standing at your desk, you're doing, you know, or I stand sitting at your desk, and you're willing, like in a real world where somebody would walk by and go, got a minute? If you're willing to let that be open, you turn on basically an open button. And people could virtually come in and knock on your door, and the video would pop up as a two-way conversation.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Desiree, what what's driving this thought and what you're seeking to accomplish. But Doug and Thomas, what do you guys think about that? Is that in our near future, and should it be?
Oh, I think it's already happening.
It's here.
It's here. Because of the fact, and she's hitting on a nerve, that there is that disconnect when you're working from home, and people are having some challenges with keeping that connection. That's a great way to do it. And what you said is a big part of that, Brandon. And this hybrid world that we're living in now, is going to continue to evolve, and it's going to include things of that kind. And I think what you said is right on. But the one thing that I really love about all of it is our ability to control, or not, as the case may be, depends upon who's doing it, but our time and our costs and our ability to be efficient and productive has never been more powerful than it is today, right? The only concern I have is when I'm at home and the fridge is there, I might be spending a little bit more time, routing through the fridge than I should be. But that's why I don't want that handy. But
and what's the problem with that?
That's just me.
I graze all day.
Yeah. And I don't know if this helps Desiree, but I don't do this myself, but I have clients in member-based organizations that have 3 days a week in their signature that says when they're in a Zoom meeting, and it's an open Zoom meeting for them to come and ask any questions that they have. So it's just like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm in Zoom for 2 hours a day. Yeah. And it just says this, and it's just click the link in the signature, and you're automatically getting served by that individual. So I've seen that, which is maybe similar to what Desiree was saying, but it might be halfway there, but it's something.
There's Desiree. I want you to provide value and real connection so I can help them and they know I'm a real person. Most of what I see is go and watch a video and learn,
right? Versus
access. Yeah. And that's where I think, Desiree, thank you for that again. I think the difference between produced content and what I call more organic content, if you will, the difference of, hey, Doug, here's a link to a produced piece of content on our website, which I'm going to make the assumption that before you and I ever spoke, you probably would have consumed that content as part of doing your research. And then I would follow it up with more of the personal one, the personal video that I sent you. And Desiree, I think you're thinking about it the right way. That's spot on. What do you guys think about for Desiree?
Go ahead, Doug.
No, I agree. Time and place, just like what was the most consumed B2B content? It depends. And that's totally it. And being available, you always want to be available for your clients and your staff as well. So I think, click here and it opens up a meeting, or it starts ringing you in Zoom, and then boom, you're together. It's just like being in the same building, although you might be in different countries.
You know what I think would be cool, and this is, me and my ideation and the entrepreneur in me, but I think about when we would call people in the office and we'd get put on hold. What we would normally listen to is either music, or some companies move to the little company commercial, right? While they're on hold, let's use that time efficiently and tell them about one of our product service. Hey, did you know that we recently launched while you're on hold? I think something would be kind of interesting would be that virtual office. They knock on the door and you're able to go, I'll be with you in, 60 seconds, and can trigger a little video-based explainer video, commercial, whatever, to them while they're waiting for you, so they don't get bored. And right. You might as well use that opportunity. And then, then you can come in and go, hey, here I am. And you have that one-to-one conversation. There you go, Doug. You guys should go build that.
That's an amazing idea. And yeah, it's totally cool. And if you're, depending what you're doing, that's an awesome opportunity. You have their attention. We have so-and-so an event coming up, a new product launch. Maybe it's something personable about Desiree. Hey, you're waiting for me to come. Thanks for virtually knocking on my door. Something personal about Desiree. For me, it's like, oh, I'm a dog person. Thomas is distracted by his fridge. I'm distracted by my dog. So it's just
and I know there's more. I know that there's more variable video, like variable fields and databases that can trigger instantaneous video that gets built on the fly and presented. I think that's really, really cool technology. I think we're still a little bit away from, with bandwidth and other things, to be able to trigger that, render it, and display it fast enough. that I've heard conversations, I've been in some conversations about that type of technology. And I think that would be absolutely amazing if somebody knocked on your virtual door and based on your database of telling you, who they are, it could trigger based on some variable that it could say, hey, Desiree, thanks so much for knocking on my door. I'm going to be with you in 90 seconds or less. In the meantime, and a video comes along that's, it might be animated, but still, and it triggers different pieces to speak to. Somebody go build that thing. I want it. Oh, man. Thomas, how do we wrap up the day? How do we wrap up? I can't believe it's almost noon Eastern, and that seemed like it went really fast to me.
Yeah, it did. But I think we wrap up on the premise that we started with, and that is video is not going anywhere, and it's an enormous part of your personal and your business and your retail life. No matter what area of business or industry you're in, video is enormous. And if you're not leveraging it in a way to both communicate with existing customers and teams, and you're probably doing the teams a bit already, but you're not necessarily doing your customers, and you're certainly not doing it to your prospective customers and working with them in that respect. If you're not doing that, you are missing the biggest opportunity I think there is today in business. I don't know how much more I could stress that.
Yeah. Well, Doug, you are this is your first time on with us, and hopefully you'll want to come back sometime and keep the DigitizeHQ conversation going. But I want to let you end us out. What do you think is most important for people to think about as they're moving forward in next year and using video for business communications?
Well, just thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. Hopefully there's some value to the conversation. I just go back to what I said earlier. Just assign your videos to goals. Don't think of them like a project. Think of it like a program, like a content calendar, and not everything needs to be video. And look at video as the jumping off point to start with. Think about this presentation, how we can cut it up into the different segments of what we've talked about today. So one piece of content, this can be a podcast. It can be short videos. There could be a picture of me with, a little, a pull quote over here, just saying like, click this link to watch so-and-so talk about video. So think about it like a program, jumping off point into multiple forms of content. So, and assign goals. So sorry, long-winded again, but thanks for having me.
No, that's not long-winded at all. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us at DigitizeHQ. Hey, we ask you this. We started this community. We've got the DigitizeHQ group in Facebook. We have another group inside of LinkedIn. It seems like Facebook is where more people are gathering, and it's been much more engaging, I think, if you will, but wherever your medium of choice is, or your social platform of choice, I know that we are working on digitizehq.com to come. Hopefully it'll be here January, February, free for everybody to join, create a membership. There's going to be forums, conversations, and basically we just want to keep talking and learning with each other about all things digital enablement, from the C-suite down to the front lines. If you have any other topics you want to talk about, you want to share, you want to come be a part of the community, and then come be on one of our panel discussions, just let us know. Reach out and let us know who you are. You want to be on a conversation, and we'll get that arranged. Doug, thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you come back sometimes and
thank you,
and join us in more conversations.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Excellent.
It's always fun chatting, guys.
Sounds great. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful Friday.
Yeah. Bye-bye.